Now in today's video, we are in Great Britain again. To be exact, we are at Farnborough Airport. And today we're gonna check out quite a special British bomber. Yeah, right in front of us we have the Avro Vulcan. We are spawned onto the runway, but the plane is not started up yet. Whatever. Now the Avro Vulcan, made by the aircraft manufacturer of Avro. By the way, not to be confused with the company that made the RJ100s. You know, this one. Yeah, I have already made a video about this one. You know, these are different companies, but they have the same name. The company that built the Vulcan, this plane, actually went bankrupt in 1963. So the Avro Vulcan, it came out in 1952. You know, back then there was the Cold War going on. I'm not even allowed to talk about wars actually on the channel, because otherwise I'll be demonetized, but who cares really? The thing is, this was supposed to be a nuclear strategic bomber, you know, to drop nuclear weapons, I guess, which it, by the way, never did. It was more of like a showing off thing, you know, or gaining respect by having this bomber. It was actually used only once, and that was in the Falklands War of, you know, in Argentina. Actually, they had to fly this aircraft all the way down to Argentina, but I don't think it dropped any bomb there either. But that doesn't matter. We can do that later on, actually. And yeah, around 130 of these had been built until the company of Avro obviously went out of business in the 60s. That's when production stopped of the Vulcan. Now, you can definitely tell this plane's age. You know, back in the days, you had engines that were inside of the wing in a way. You know, the first jet airliner was the Comet, and that also had this exact design. The Comet was also British. You know, that was back when the British actually used to make planes. They don't really do that anymore. Yeah, that's what this plane looks like. Now, here we are at the undercarriage of the plane. As you can see, now most obviously this is a bomber, so it was actually used for bombing stuff. Here we can actually select weapons that we can put into the aircraft and actually shoot as well. The Vulcan was known for its blue steel bomb, which was that very powerful nuclear bomb. Let's drop that later on and see what that looks like, and hope not to get demonetized. And here's the only way the pilots could actually get into the aircraft. There we go. This aircraft is actually kind of cramped on the inside. Let's actually fire it up. There we go. And we got some light going. This is the cockpit. As I've already said, this is actually pretty cramped. Pretty small cockpit for such a plane. It's not that small actually, but the cockpit is, and honestly, I don't know what any of this does. This does seem like a pretty messy cockpit, but I'm kind of sure that I'll be able to fly this plane anyway. By the way, there's an SR-71 holding short. Yeah, waiting for us to take off, but we're gonna take our time. Yeah, inside of the aircraft, it's pretty damn dark, so I'm gonna put on the night vision goggles. These actually help. As you can see, this is what the cockpit looks like. The thing is, not only 2 people were flying on the plane, but there were normally 5 people on board. Obviously, there was the pilot, the co-pilot, and a radar navigator. And in the underdeck, there was the radar navigator, the plotter navigator, and the air electronics officer. Very interesting. Now, let me just tell you a fun fact. In the case of something going wrong, you had the option to eject your seat. Let's just pull that handle. There we go. We're outside of the aircraft, and we're safe. As you can see, we are wearing a parachute, and we will not die. Both pilots had these options, but the other crew of the aircraft didn't have that option, which I find a very fun fact. Okay, actually, it's a bit sad. Whenever this aircraft crashed, the pilots survived, but the other crew members didn't, which is actually a bit sad. There have actually been a few accidents of this aircraft. I mean, this was obviously in the early jet engine days. Now, how do I get back into the cockpit is the question. Let's actually just fly this aircraft and see how it goes. It doesn't have flaps, as I can see, so landing is going to be quite a story. As you can see, we have a Mach indicator. Yes, this plane could fly faster than Mach 1, which is cool, right? 150 knots, we are off into the air, which is awesome. Now, this plane actually kind of does remind me of the Concorde a bit, at least the landing gear design does. And this plane also has a delta wing. By the way, this plane could also do aileron rolls and barrel rolls. Oh, alright, that might have gone wrong. Time for the ejection. Alright, there we go. The navigators are dead now. Okay, that actually went wrong. I didn't expect the aircraft to be able to lose control that quickly, actually. That didn't work out. Alright, let's try this one again. To be honest, this plane flies quite nicely. You know, it has this very large delta wing design. It is actually to the point where it's almost a flying wing aircraft. You know, when the wing is also the fuselage, that is almost the case here. And this plane obviously doesn't really have a tail. It does have a vertical stabilizer, which is very important, but it does count as a tailless plane. Yeah, it actually does have both ailerons and elevators in the same wing, which is very interesting. So we are airborne. You know what? Let's just actually open the undercarriage and see what happens if we drop the bomb that we have here. This is quite a large one. Jesus Christ. That's gonna be a lot of damage. All right. So how do I drop this? Honestly, I don't know. Oh, that does the job. That does the job just fine. All right, bomb is down here. This is obviously only a simulation, YouTube. No worries. Okay, this is gonna be a big one. Alright, that did something, I guess. That was fine enough. Let's actually try the aileron roll abilities of this plane again. That went very smoothly. Yeah, this airplane was very solid. It could totally tolerate a G-force, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 6, or 9. Oh, wow. See, we're not falling apart, which is very nice. So something else that this plane could do was aerial refueling. That is pretty nice. Let's see what else this plane can do for us. I mean, we can load quite a little bit of stuff. Oh my goodness. Well, I wanted to see that impact, I guess. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow. That is pretty damn savage, I have to say that. Now, let's try landing this plane. You know, there's always something special about landing a plane. It is the most critical phase of flight, after all. As I've already said, this plane does not have flaps, so landing speed is gonna be higher. Also, this plane does not have reverse thrust, so stopping distance will be higher. Something that this plane does have is a parachute and some speed brakes, and obviously the brakes and the wheels, but that's pretty much it. And you know, without flaps, we have to have a higher landing speed. I don't know at what speed this plane is to land at. How about 200 knots or something? Is that too fast? I'm not quite sure. Probably is, but who cares? Let's just get this plane down. All right, touchdown. Time for some brakes and time for the parachute. That'll help us stop in no time. That was actually not super bad. You know, if you built this mechanism into a 737, it could probably operate at any place on Earth. No, but this was quite good. Let's check out that landing. Yeah, that really does look like a Concorde a bit. Yeah, I can imagine that landings are pretty hard in this plane due to the high speed. That was okay though. There we go. And the parachute. And the little cute spoilers that really do not make that much of a difference, I guess. But this worked. We were able to stop, even though Farnborough does not have the longest runway. There we go. That's how to stop the plane. I mean, what can I say? This plane, it just works. It just flies. And it can handle a lot of G-forces. It is pretty damn fast. Actually, it didn't have a defense system simply because it didn't need it, because it was so fast, I guess. I mean, simply flying at speeds over Mach 1 was pretty amazing for 1953, so that is pretty cool. Now, the Royal Air Force stopped using this plane in 1984, and you know, it had been used as a tanker before, but they kept one Avro Vulcan alive until 2015, when even that was retired, or at least not kept airworthy anymore, or at least not kept airworthy anymore. Yeah, that plane was used for air shows for a long time. Yeah, the last plane that was retired in 2015, it can still do taxi operations, but that's kind of useless, isn't it? It just cannot fly anymore. All right, time to go around. Oh, god damn it. Let's just pretend this didn't happen. Now, something else that is on the list of this video is obviously flying at supersonic speeds, so let's just do that now. By the way, we have London Heathrow below us. That's kind of interesting. All right, here we go. We are pretty high up in the sky. Right here we are gaining speed. We're at Mach 0.8, and we're getting pretty close to Mach 1, which is, by the way, supersonic speeds. Yeah, I do not know what any of this does. Well, I think that's when you drop a nuclear weapon to shield the cockpit window. That could actually make sense. Alright, meanwhile, we are still gaining speed. It's taking a while. Alright, let's help the plane out a little bit by pushing the nose down. That'll gain us supersonic speed in no time. There we go. We are flying supersonic, and we don't even need afterburners to do so, which is amazing. Yeah, we're flying faster than the speed of sound, and the wings don't even bother with the load that we're putting on them. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a plane from the 50s, obviously. Alright, time to eject. Alright, that was fine. Ooh, the plane is out of control. It's just flying up into the air. So that was pretty damn nice. Maybe something that we can test is the landing and taking off abilities of this plane. Oh, where is it? I was just doing loops at this point. Yeah, the navigators on board are probably not too happy with the state of flight that they're in right now. I mean, this plane does have pretty powerful engines, so does it need a long runway? Let's find out. Oh yeah, the plane was also very famous for its howling sound. I don't know if you can hear it right now, but it's now crashed. So let's take another plane and try this again, am I right? What airport can we try? Obviously St. Bartholomew. You know, on the way to the Falkland Islands. You know, the plane could have also gone for a little fuel stop at the island. Let's see if that could have worked out. Probably not. Right, this is the Avro Vulcan. By the way, it has kind of the size of a... I think it's bigger than the 737. You know, just for reference. Let's see if these kind of strong engines can actually get us off the ground now. I mean, we don't have flaps, so chances are pretty bad, but I guess we're not gonna find out unless we try. Alright, we're running the engines at full power. Let's see, brakes are released and the airspeed is coming up. 100 knots. This is actually not looking too bad. Wait, did we just do this? Did this just happen? I think it did. That is very nice. St. Bartholomew, it worked, which is actually kind of ridiculous. It turns out this delta wing design doesn't need that much airspeed to take off, which is very interesting. The thing is, this plane doesn't really have a tail, so we cannot have a tail strike, I guess. So this was a perfectly fine takeoff. Let's see if we can also land perfectly fine, which I kind of doubt, but I guess it's worth a try. Let's actually try landing from the other side now. Now, normally you'd land on runway 10, and the thing is, there's this very steep hill in front of it, which makes landing on the runway very hard. But it turns out you can also land on runway 28. That is perfectly fine, and in real life you do that too. Let's see if it works. Alright, let's do this. This plane does have some surprisingly good low-speed flying abilities. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, Jesus. Well, I've had better landings before. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. As always, good night.